The wrestling world is one of those spaces where anything can and will happen. There are very few things that has not happened in WWE or in other wrestling companies over the years. However, there are some things that no wrestler or company wants fans to remember. In this video, let's take a look at some of the wildest things that wrestlers want you to forget. Before we get into the rest of the video, don't forget to press that like button and make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on. Braun Breaker is one of the most promising young stars out there. WWE seems to have recognized it too and has strapped a rocket to him to give him the push he deserves. Although just last year there were doubts about his push and whether he would get one at all. Steiner was accused of shouting transphobic comments at wrestler Gable. Breaker was on the cusp of a push at the time, but that seemed to be put on pause for a while. Eventually, there was enough separation between him and the incident that he got the push. He is not his father, and he will be hoping that his father's actions don't end up costing him in the long run in WWE. Austin Theory apparently was one of the favorite stars when working with Vince McMahon. The WWE chairman saw something in him and decided to push him to the moon, doing his best to show what the star could do if given the right push. Unfortunately, even with the chairman's full support behind him, Theory was not really able to get far. He won the Money in the Bank briefcase and briefly held the US title, but at no point did it look like he could do anything with it. When Vince McMahon was no longer involved with creative, it was clear that Triple H didn't share the same belief in the star, and he was hastily pushed down the card. He is now Grayson Waller's fall guy and takes punishment on the behalf of his friend regularly. At this time, Theory will be hoping that fans forget that he had a push at all so they don't see how far he has fallen down the card. Triple H is the head of creative in WWE and is doing a fantastic job at it. He's one of the, if not the most important person in today's WWE when it comes to the fans. He's the one who tells the stories that fans fall in love with and has done an excellent job in fixing some of the major issues that fans have had the most complaints about over the years. However, there was at least one angle where he was involved himself that he will want fans to forget. As one of the most important people in modern wrestling, it does not look good to have necrophilia in your CV. The star was in a feud with Kane, during which he was prepared to go to any lengths to mock the current mayor of Knox County. He revealed a story of how Kane had sex with a girl who had died, aka Katie Vick. He then replicated the act inside a coffin in a video he will hope everyone forgets about forever. Although Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis are the only ones actually named in the lawsuit, Brock Lesnar is clearly referenced in the suit brought by Janelle Grant that accused McMahon of sex trafficking. It's mentioned that McMahon used the videos and provocative photos of Grant to get a former UFC champion to re-sign a contract with WWE. The fact that he was not mentioned by name didn't matter, as every fan could see who was meant in the suit. Since then, WWE has removed Lesnar from all plans, although it was thought that he would return to the company at the Royal Rumble and wrestle Gunther at WrestleMania. That no longer looks likely in the least, and in all probability will not be happening. Given what fans know about Vince McMahon, it's clear that he's definitely not the most respectful man in the world. However, while humiliating his wrestlers is one thing, the man has also made it his own priority to call out God. During his rivalry with Shawn Michaels, McMahon said that Michaels had an unfair advantage as he had God on his side always helping him. Thus, he tagged with Shane to take on Shawn and God in a tag team match. It was an exercise of insanity, with even a spotlight showing off God's path down to the ring. Vince and Shane used their numbers advantage to attack Shawn, and Vince continued to insult God throughout, making it a segment that any devout fan hated. Given the current climate, WWE don't recall that feud ever. They have made it a point to avoid talking about it altogether. It's not something that Michaels looked on fondly either, and will be hoping that fans forget all about it and his own involvement in the match as well. WWE has put a lot of effort in making people believe Gable Steveson could be the next big thing in the company, but at this time it does not look like that's happening. It was apparent from the moment he debuted in WWE. The NXT fans, who are usually receptive to new stars coming into the fray, found themselves completely split apart as to how to support him. Those who typically cheer for newcomers surprised everyone by siding with the heelish Baron Corbin instead. There were chants of "You're not Angle" raining down on Steveson. referencing the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, who also transitioned from amateur wrestling to WWE success. Steveson was a boring character and one that fans just could not side with. On top of that, they could not take the fact that the star had controversy associated with him even before his debut. Although he has an Olympic gold medal, there's a lot of controversy in his past. In 2019, while wrestling for the University of Minnesota, Steveson was arrested on suspicion of sexual assault alongside another wrestler. A woman reported the incident to authorities. The Hennepin County attorney ultimately dropped the charges due to inadequate evidence. However, it's cast a shadow over his WWE signing. WWE may now be all about women's wrestling and have pushed for the division a great deal, but that was not always the case. Mickie James has always been one of the most talented wrestlers in the world and has done whatever it takes to get there. Back in the day, her feud against Trish Stratus was one of the few great feuds for women in that era, although that didn't stop WWE from treating her badly. She was part of a storyline where Michelle McCool and Layla, aka Lay Cool, used to make fun of James. They body shamed her and called her Piggy James, putting aside the fact that James was not overweight in the slightest. Even without that, this would not have been a gimmick that would have run in current WWE. There were multiple segments where they treated her like a pig and humiliated her in the ring in ways that should never be done to anyone. On top of that, after her most recent run in WWE, when she was released, the company sent back her belongings in a trash bag of all things, a clear further sign of undeserved disrespect. Hulk Hogan is still very much a part of the wrestling conversation, but he's in no way as significant as he once was. When compared to some other legends like Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock, Hogan's fall has been significant, as to many, he was the embodiment of professional wrestling and what it took to make it in the industry. The fact is that now he's not only not significant, it's as if he never was. A sex tape of the star emerged, and that alone was controversial, but was not going to end his time in the spotlight. During the tape, it turned out that the things he was saying were sufficiently racist that no one wanted him there anymore. He was thrown out of the Hall of Fame and erased by WWE. After his apology, years later he would be re-added. There was a lot of outrage and certain wrestlers are still not okay with him being there. Nowadays, whenever Hogan appears, fans boo him, far removed from being the most popular wrestler in the world. WWE eventually reinstating him into the Hall of Fame in 2018 is a decision that remains controversial to this day. The plane ride from hell is one of the most infamous incidents in wrestling, and those involved, especially Ric Flair and his family, would like nothing better than for everyone to forget it. During the flight, everyone got drunk due to a delay in the flight. Brock Lesnar and Mr. Perfect got into a brawl that nearly broke a plane door that would have endangered everyone on board. The flight attendants were also not happy. Among multiple other incidents, Ric Flair, in a state of undress, approached the flight attendant and allegedly brought her hand to his private parts. The Vice documentary about it in Dark Side of the Ring caused much outrage about the moment, with Ric Flair being cancelled. Since then, WWE has nothing to do with Flair. While now he's in AEW, fans regularly tweet out about the issues of keeping him in the business. Vince McMahon is in the middle of the biggest crisis of his professional life, even worse than the steroid scandal back in the 90s or even the death of Chris Benoit. However, he would like nothing better than for fans to forget all of it. The former WWE chairman has had to step down from his executive position on the TKO Group's board of directors after the reports emerged about the same recently. Ex-employee Janelle Grant's lawsuit against McMahon brought accusations to light that even he can't laugh and put behind him as much as he tries, be it the sex trafficking allegations or using his position to force her to take part in multiple acts, or including her and trafficking her to the likes of John Laurinaitis, or even sharing videos of her with a former UFC champion who appears to be Brock Lesnar. There's no limit to the things that came out in the lawsuit, with others speaking out against Vince McMahon at the same time to show that this was not an isolated incident makes things even worse for the former WWE boss. McMahon may be in serious trouble, as the lawsuit going to court would be sure to reveal even more sordid details of the incident. While he has categorically denied all involvement in anything, he is no longer in the strong position he once was and has been pushed out of his own company as a result. At this point, it's unlikely that he can ever get back. And these were 10 things wrestlers want you to forget. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.